Ladies and gentlemen, the first solo game we are going to do is Archaeology. Please welcome as we set up and discuss the solo variant for Archaeology, the prequel to Archaeology, the card game, the Everlasting Expedition. Now, setup for the Everlasting Expedition is going to be a little bit different than is normal. However, the main mechanics of the game will remain the same. The first thing we need to do requires this pyramid card. So we have our standard pyramid card that requires certain amounts of maps. So we'll just put that over to the side and we're going to set up the decks. We need 5, 7, and 3 cards respectively there. So we're going to take our normal deck of these things and we're going to separate and get them stacks done like that. Once you have your 7, 5, and 3, what you're going to do is you're going to remove 1 card from each of those. Now we are starting to set up our Everlasting Expedition, and these will go back to the stack. Now the thieves in the main game are used to steal cards from each player, but we're going to handle the thieves a bit differently. We only need 1, 2, 3 thieves, and the rest can go back to the box. What you're going to do is you're going to place 1 thief in each pile. Then you are going to stack the piles together, shuffle them, and then re-deal out 7, 5, and 3. And you'll place those over here where the pyramid would go. Now, what are we doing with these thieves? Well, the way that it works, since this is a prequel, thieves are everywhere. And what's going to happen is that whenever you use maps, if there is a single thief in the pile that you choose from, the thief has already ransacked that part of the pyramid and you get none of the cards. However, if there is more than 1 thief in the stack, then the thieves have killed each other and you do get to take all of the cards from that section. It's a little bit of risk reward. The bigger pile may give you more options and you may have more of a chance to actually take all the things, but what are the chances of there being a thief in these 3 cards? I might be able to get those. Or if there's only 1, and that'll be something for you since you are primarily the person who's going to be taking those. The next thing we need to deal with is the sandstorm. Before we get to the sandstorm, we do need to talk about the actual game itself because we need to deal the cards to those who will be playing with us. So at the beginning of the game, the cards are basically the same. Everyone is going to get the same amount of cards, which is in this case 4. So you get 4 cards, and your version of the game is pretty much going to be identical to the way it normally is. However, there are 2 things that you, as an archaeologist, need to contend with. There are 2 what will be dummy players, but they're not necessarily players, they're ideas. Over here, we have represented by the nothing player to your left is your fear. They will get 4 cards as well. 2 of them will be face down, and 2 of them will be face up. So you will have some general information about what this is and not what this is. This represents your fear. These are the choices you didn't make as an archaeologist as you go to try to have one last hurrah to try to make a name for yourself. Now, the opposite of the fear of the things that you should do is your pile of regret. Now, your regret is the same way. 2 down, 2 up, and this represents the actions and the things that you regret doing. Now, there is a map there. We'll talk about how the maps work with your fear and your regret in a moment. Now, your cards are the same. For the sake of purposes, we're just going to have them face up for playing so I can kind of show you. Now, the game is going to go around, and it's going to be played normally. You're going to take a card, you're going to trade to the middle, etc., etc. But we do need to go ahead and set up the market. The market is normally set up by dealing out a certain number of cards to the middle, and there is our marketplace. So I put my regret over here, a little bit easier to see, put my fear over here, put the me down here. But now we have to talk about sandstorms. Sandstorms are where the difficulty might come in. Now, there will be difficulty levels in this. We are going to be playing on what I will consider normal mode to get your bearings, but there is a hard mode that we will discuss in a moment. So the basic thing is the more sandstorms that are in here, the easier it will be on normal mode, but the harder it will be on hard mode. Normal sandstorms, 4, 2 people, 6, 5, 4. That's not what you're going to worry about because if there's 1, you're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 sandstorms. The other ones can go to the box. 1, 2, and 3 are going to be shuffled into the deck as normal. Let me go ahead and get that done right quick. Those have all been done, but there is one more sandstorm that will end the game, and that is at the bottom. The sandstorm at the end of the game will work different than the sandstorms throughout the game. We'll talk about that in a moment. What you're going to do as the Master Expediter, you are going to go first, and it's going to be the same as it always is. You'll dig, you'll take your card, you'll put it in your hand. At this point, you can trade with the market the way you normally would be able to, or you can sell to the museum the way you would normally be able to. Standard rules apply. You're going to go in order either clockwise or counterclockwise. It doesn't matter, whatever's more comfortable for you. Just make sure you keep it consistent. Then we're going to go over here. So we're going to go with my regret first. We're going to take a card, put it there. No big deal. Now, they're not going to buy the market or sell to the museum ever. That's not what they do. They will score in a different way. And now we have over here, pot coin, goes back to me. Oh, I get a pot shard. Okay, I see there's a pot shard in there. I'd like to go ahead and trade this to the market for that pot shard. So I have all of these. And I'm going to go ahead and risk to try to get one more because it's worth 15. Then we go over here and they get a map. Maps work differently for them. We'll talk about that whenever a scoring happens, and I'll tell you what scoring is. And then coin goes over here. And then parchment here. All right, cool. I'll go ahead and keep that. No big deal. I'm not wanting to sell anything. Not wanting to keep that. And so we're just going to keep going. We draw, and now we hit a sandstorm. Sandstorms are times for scoring. So what happens in a normal mode? What's going to happen is you're going to reveal all of the cards face up for both sections. So here we go. And if there are any sets, that side will score them. So they get these two sets here. This doesn't have, this has a set here. And then this has a set here as well. Now, it's not a full set, it's a set. Now, I know these right here can be scored for one, but it's not a set of anything, it's just one. The only exception to that is going to be the maps, in which we'll talk about in a moment. So these will end up going to the middle because even though you can score for 1 and 4, they will never do that because they'll only score if they have at least a set of 2. So the pot shard will be getting thrown out, the broken cup will be getting thrown out, but they will get to keep the parchment. And then the maps. Now, the way maps work for your fear and your regret are that they don't actually go hunting in here. This pyramid is for you. But what this does do, unfortunately, is takes them away from the game because 1 is a set. So that's 3 points for them, 3 points for them, and then so far the pot shard's going to go here. But you don't follow the same rules as them. You follow standard rules. So you are going to discard half of your hand. They're going to discard half of their hand. So you'll flip this over, pick one at random, blah, 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 and it comes to the middle, and the same thing goes for you. So after a sandstorm, we have your fear with some scores and your regret with some scores, and you are not in a very good place. Now, time is going to go around and around and around, and it's going to go like that forever until the very end of the game, in which the final sandstorm is drawn. Now, at the end of a normal game of archaeology, the last card is drawn, and whatever you have in your hand gets sold to the museum, but not here. Everything in your hand at the end of the game is lost. So you need to use it or lose it. And that is it. So at the end, your fear and your regret will still score as normal. Only the sandstorm at the end, everything in your hand will be wiped away, and that is it. Scoring for yourself at the end of the game is going to be normal. You're going to have your normal setup. But your opponents might have something that looks more similar to this. A lot of little bits of nothing because they didn't really have a lot. Now, this is going to be a lower scoring game for them and going to be a bit easier for you because you don't have to worry about those big combos for these things. However, if you want to turn the notch up a little bit when you're looking for scoring in sets of cards, you can instead put them all in the same pile face down. Now, what that does is at the end, you're going to take them all out, and then you will sort them, which means these 2 pot shards can be added to those pot shards. If you end up having another parchment, you can add it there. If you have a broken cup and you have another broken cup, you can add it there. So that will zoom their score up tremendously. And you can set this up, have one player do hard mode and have the other player do normal. You can make them both hard. So they're going to be different levels of difficulty for the game. And that is everything you need to know to play the solo version of Archaeology, the card game. If you have any questions, any rules clarifications, anything that you feel like does not work, please let me know. Run through a couple of games. Let me know if you think this is something that's fun. Let me know if you want to add more thieves, more sandstorms, anything like that. In regards to the pyramid, you're most likely going to get one thief every time, but it's just a little bit of hesitation when you try to go there because a lot of the maps might be caught up in the other players. So you've got to be careful. You try to get those maps as quickly as possible because just like in the real game, people do not want to give up their maps, especially to you. So that's it. I hope you do as well. Enjoy the game. Give me the thumbs up if you like this and if you want to play this. Whatever gets the most thumbs, I will submit. Otherwise, enjoy yourself. Peace out.